So I just got done making a video where I promised myself that I was going to shoot with this Tascarella until after Derby City to give myself the best chance to get used to this cue, which I've had for 2 weeks and 2 days now. Is that even right? Got it on the 5th, so what, 1 week and 2 days. Jeez. Talk about impatient. But, so, how do I get used to a cue? I'm not going to even attempt to answer the question, how do you get used to a cue? How should you get used to a cue? I'm not one of those people that wants to tell people how to do stuff. Or that the way I do it is the way to do it. I don't like those people that tell people stuff like that, and I don't want to be one of them. Anyway, so for me, trying to get used to a cue, the main thing is to just play with it. And I guess try to be a little bit extra aware of what is going on. If I run into any special issues or problems, then maybe I'll set that shot up a few times and shoot it. But for the most part, I'm trying to let my inner pool player get used to the cue the same time I am. He's probably going to be faster about it, honestly. So I'll just shoot until I screw up here, which could be any second now. Right there, that shot right there, okay? I drew back much straighter than I would have with my Southwest. With my Southwest, it would have bounced out a little bit and then drew back. Not a huge major thing, but it's a difference. And as long as I notice it, then I can, in theory, maybe make use of it in the future. So this cue, with its better hit, my draw took sooner. It didn't have to arc out as much and then start drawing back. And that should help me with getting straight in on this 9-ball. It's not going to come all the way over here. I don't have to worry about getting stuck behind the sticks or anything like that. And it's just little things like that that, as long as I notice them, then at least my subconscious is aware, knows about it. So another thing that I do a lot of when I'm trying to get used to a cue is I'll put a lot of English on a shot, more English than I normally use, to help get used to the squirt. This cue squirts less than my Southwest. This is a good thing. It's pretty comparable to my Scruggs and even to my Peachards. It's not a low squirt shaft. It's still a stock shaft. But I think the squirt characteristic is something that I'm pretty used to, or that I can get used to more easily than I was, that I could get used to the Southwest. And that ball, I almost missed that damn ball. And I don't know, this is the thing about, I'm trying to use this cue, but I'm still me, and I still suck in other ways. So if I miss a shot, it might be just because I suck. Or I had a mental lapse, or some physical breakdown. It could be one of those, just like it always can be one of those. But in this case, because I'm trying to get used to something new, I just keep in mind it could also be that. It could also be that, I hit this ball perfectly to my mind, but the cue didn't do what I thought it was going to do, and therefore I missed. I mean, it's a judgment call in a lot of cases. Why did I miss that shot? Was it my fault? Well, I guess it's always my fault. Was it my fault because I suck, or my fault because I wasn't used to the equipment yet? And it's a judgment call, and sometimes I'm wrong about that judgment call, and sometimes I'm not. This cue does have a better hit than what I'm used to. So I had to hit that one a lot softer. Like with my Southwest, I would have hit it and probably gotten pretty good shape, but at a firmer speed. But because this cue hits better, if I'd used that same firmer speed, the ball would have come up like this somewhere, which is not ideal to cut the two in that corner. And I'm not going to say I've got I've got that completely mastered, but at least I'm aware of it. At least on that particular shot, I did it right. On this shot right here, the ball came up 2.5 feet short of where I wanted it to come, where I thought it would come. In that particular case, I think it was because I hit the ball badly. I hit it too full. I think I hit it too full, so the cue ball didn't have enough speed to come all the way up. So I'll just shoot it again and try to watch where the object ball hits the pocket and see if, well, and not do that. That was embarrassing. At least you know I followed through when that happens, right? Get the cue out of the way this time. So that's what I thought was going to happen the first time. I think the first time I hit the ball a little bit too full, so I didn't have enough speed. That was a case of me sucking, not that I'm not used to the cue. And it's just that, for me, my best way to try to get used to stuff is just to play the kind of shots that I will shoot, and see what happens. If I'm playing one pocket and my pocket's to the left, I'm not quite straight in on this 5. It's about whatever, a third of a ball cut. Punch it and drift over here for a short side shape on the 6. This is absolutely a hit component on this shot. Sometimes I have to really blast. That one there I didn't hit hard enough for this cue. So just set up stuff like this and just get a feel for it. Get a feel for what's going to happen. And eventually I'll get pretty decent at coming over there for a short side position on the 6 in this case. By playing and noticing when something weird happens, something unexpected happens, and then maybe shooting that again, maybe setting it up and shooting it again. Those are the things that help me best in getting used to stuff. Now a lot of people are just going to just set up drills. They're just going to set up a bunch of balls like this and shoot them all in there. See, I don't do that in real life, so I'm not particularly optimistic that it would do me a lot of good in getting used to a new cue mode. Just shoot it. I mean, sure, I can watch and see what happens. I didn't come out far enough on that shot. I need to come out about here. That was just a fault. I don't shoot that damn drill. In my opinion, that's the issue with that. I don't shoot that damn drill. And if I did shoot it every day or whatever, I would know, hey, on this shot, you got to bounce out further than my initial suspicions are. And then come out like that and whatever. Just trying to get used to what the heck's going on and notice any differences. Anything that I can't blame on myself, physically or mentally, there's a good chance I can blame it on the fact that I'm not used to the equipment. And that's what I'm looking to try to do. I don't even know if you even call this a drill, but this is one thing that I do a lot when I'm getting used to stuff. Is I'll set up 3 or 4 balls like this and just try to shoot them down there and really try to pay attention to where's my cue ball going as far as the angle and the speed, and really try to pay attention to what's going on with that. Really trying to keep this cue ball on a string. A lot of times I have to use maximum English, sometimes just a little English. I'm really varying it, and as long as I'm really paying attention, and I can do this with 3 or 4 balls and not really lose my concentration, then it does help. It does help. Not that all of a sudden I've learned how to run these 3 balls in the pocket, but teaching my subconscious something about how much squirt I get at maximum English? How much squirt I get, at less English? How good of a hit do I get as far as bouncing off the rail, things like that. So I can set it up there, I can set up another diamond up. At a certain point it gets to be pretty tough for me. So I got 100,000,000% straight on this 4. A real player, whatever, would just draw back and then cut the 1. But because I'm trying to get used to this cue, this is a perfect opportunity to see if I can draw a stupid ball. I come back up and get myself a proper angle. This is just me. And I'll be doing this kind of thing, trying to keep this attitude of watching for anything that's a little bit weird or a little bit surprising to me, trying to notice it. I always try to notice it, but absolutely really trying to notice it. And okay, was that the cue? Was there something that's different about the cue that I needed to absolutely take note of and know for the future? During this time of year, I'm also in the position of having to get used to 8-ball again. Last fall there was an 8-ball tournament. I mentioned all this shit before. It's a pretty big deal in my area, but I won the thing, and I was very unprepared because my 8-ball practice had been horrible, and everything just happened to come together for me on that day. Actually, that tournament was one of the ones that convinced me that even though I didn't feel really comfortable with the Southwest yet, I could still play with it. So that was cool. It's coming up again here in October, and so I'm going to have to play some 8-ball. Try to get used to the patterns and stuff. I think that shot, I took my eyes off the ball. I don't think it was a squirt or too much English or not enough or whatever. I think I took my eyes off that ball because I'm trying to talk to you. Might have had a little bit of what I've called split brain syndrome, where I wasn't 100% sure that the cue ball was going to go off that rail and then through this gap. That's what I wanted to happen. But I wasn't quite sure if that was what was going to happen. So I may have had, a little bit of split brain syndrome. It may not be a possible shot. There's always that possibility that it may not be possible to make the 4 and go through that gap. But this time I'm at least going to make the damn 4 to try to. Well, maybe I'm not. See, my inner pool player he's confused. He's like, what the hell are you trying to do, Silts? This isn't possible. Why are you trying it? Well, because I'm trying to get used to this cue. That's why I'm trying it. I feel like I could have done this already with my Southwest. With this one. Yay! It is possible. It just took me 50, 60 tries to get it right, 3 tries to get it right, something like that. But that was crazy. Now, one thing about this cue that is going to bug me, and I think I've talked about this before, is I can't put an extension on this cue. I don't know how to do it or anything. What I'm going to do is the same thing that I did last year. Is I'm going to take this to Derby City. I'm going to go to Joe Blackburn's booth, hopefully it's still there, and I'm going to say, hey, is there any way I can get an extension for a Tascarella? And hell, I would say yes or no. And if he says yes, and this is what has to be done, and it's something fucked up that really is going to screw up the cue, then I'm not going to get it done. But until that point, I either have to stretch out or I have to get a bridge out like a damn caveman and shoot with that. This is actually another thing that I have to get used to, is shooting with a bridge is weird enough anyway, but this motion, I'm not used to the hit of this cue doing this kind of a motion. Am I even on camera here? I can't. There's a little screen on my camera, but I can't see it. all I can see in my little screen is the table. This is brightly lit. That's all I can see. So I guess along those same lines would be left-handed. Is get used to that. That was just my fault because I was stretched out shooting left-handed, in my opinion. I don't think that had anything to do with the cue. I don't know. This is just what I do. There may be better ways to try to get used to something. Maybe shoot nothing but drills, or pick a shot a week and just keep shooting it forever until you get that deal. I don't know. I just know, what I do, the way that I do it. So besides 8-ball, the other thing that I have to do is practice my banks. I've already noticed in the week and a half that I've had this cue that because of the more powerful hit, a lot of my banks come up short. So I just have to just kind of train my inner pool player that's up there going, yeah, this looks good, to get used to a better hit, to a more solid hit. And that's not a big deal, but it's not something I don't want to wait until January to start on it. Plus I like playing banks. It's like that shot there was dead with my Southwest. And with this one, it's going to come short. So I just have to make that little adjustment. In this case, cut it just a little bit, and eventually get them to go in reliably. Not worried at all about, I'll never be able to bank with this cue. I'm worried. I'm more worried about just getting used to the cue in general than I am being able to bank with it. If that makes any sense. Short. And looking at that, I knew that was going to come short. You know how I knew that was going to come short? Because it was going to go dead in the pocket with my Southwest. That's how I knew that with this cue, it was going to come short. The numbers that I did a video called like Banking Firmly or something. The numbers that I set up, like 50 to 20. 50 to 20 is dead with my Southwest. 50 to 20 with this cue is not right. This cue is more like 50 to 19, something like that. I don't have the numbers yet. That's one of the things I want to do is I want to map them out and get the numbers. That is all just because there's a more efficient transfer of energy happening to that cue ball from this arm movement. So I have this arm movement, goes to the cue, vibrations and shit happens and physics and stuff, and then this cue ball starts moving. It's more efficient with a solid hitting cue. And that's, like I said, it's not a big giant deal. This one, well, it's the same shot I just had. I know that this is dead with my Southwest, but it's not dead with this one, so I'm going to cut it just a touch to my right. And eventually I'll do that enough times where I won't have to remember, oh gosh, you got to cut it a little bit more. It'll just be there. And I'll probably go through and map out all of my numbers again. Like I said, it's probably 50 to 19 instead of 50 to 20. And go all the way down and map them all out. Just so I have a starting point. That helped me a lot in 2020, that fact that I had mapped out all my banks. Nothing else, it gave me confidence that I knew I was going to be in the ballpark. I knew I was going to be close without having to, I guess, rely on, well, this looks close. I knew it was close because I shot it down here a billion times and mapped it out. I'm going to do that exercise again this fall. I'm going to go ahead and promise myself that because I do have the new cue. I'm going to map out my banks one more time. I guess that's it. That's how I get used to a cue, is mainly just playing, but really trying to be aware of what the heck's going on and what weird stuff or surprising stuff happens. And then if I see something weird or surprising, if I can't assign it to my own mental or physical, breakdown, maybe it's the cue. And if it's the cue, okay, file it away mentally. Maybe it'll happen again. Then maybe you're going to go, well, shit, every bank I shoot with this cue comes up short. Or every time I use English, I get more English than I'm expecting. That's the soft tip thing I talked about before. I get more English with a softer tip. I think probably most people do. And I'm not sure I like it, because it's not what I'm used to. Anyway, I am yammering now. I'm going to stop. Bye, guys.